Ipswich, home to a diverse population and developing industry. But unbeknown to some, it was also once a playground for one of history's most ruthless and mysterious men, Mathew Hopkins. Failed lawyer, pastor's son, and the most notorious witch hunter in British history. Mathew Hopkins lived in a time of political and religious chaos. The Civil War had made for a morally uncertain time. People looked around for someone to blame. There was senseless destruction all around, and with Henry VIII passing statute against the dark arts in 1547, women suspected of witchcraft were an obvious target. Hopkins claimed to have himself been a victim of witchcraft, accusing 7 women in his hometown of Great Wenham of sending the devil in the form of a bear to kill him. In 16th century Britain, such accusations were not taken lightly. All 7 of them were tried and hanged, prompting Hopkins to proclaim himself the Witchfinder General, believed by many to possess the devil's list of all of the witches in Britain. Hopkins had started down a path that would see him torture and put to death nearly 300 women over the next 2 years. The Witchfinder General, on suspecting a woman of witchcraft, would take her from her home, lock her in a cold, dark room where she would be deprived of sleep, semi-starved, binded hand to foot and pricked all over her body, checking for a devil's mark that would not bleed when cut. If all this failed to get a confession, she would then be cast into a pool of water to see if the devil would save her from drowning. Many women died like this, and those that didn't were hanged. Many of Hopkins' victims were elderly widows, suspected purely for being reclusive and owning pets, which the witchfinder believed to be familiars sent to her by the devil. One of Hopkins' victims was Ipswich woman Mary Lakeland. She was something of an obsession for the witchfinder, implicated by elderly widow Elizabeth Clark, who gave the name Lakeland during her own interrogation. Hopkins, along with his assistants, John Stern and Mary Phillips, headed to Suffolk in pursuit of her. She too was convicted of witchcraft and hanged in Ipswich town in 1645. Some people believe that her spirit still inhabits Lakeland House to this day, and many disturbances have been reported. This helped earn East Anglia the nickname Witch Country. Hopkins' rampage began to make him unpopular, and by 1646 it was Hopkins himself who was accused of being in cahoots with the devil. There are many accounts of the death of the Witchfinder General. Drowning in a pool like so many of his victims, beaten to death by a mob of angry villagers in response to his accusations, tried and hanged himself for devil worship, and death by consumption, a common disease in the 16th century. It is not known what end Hopkins met, but he was believed to be buried in Mistley in 1647, aged just 23. In his short life, Mathew Hopkins put to death more people than all other witch hunters combined, earning him an infamous place in British history.